Towards the end of 2021, I decided that in 2022, I was going to give up alcohol for the entire year. I made a video about it and I think it went live on January the 1st, 2022. If you haven't watched it already, head over there, watch that video and you'll find out exactly why I decided to give up alcohol. The long story cut really short was I noticed a trend in which I was habitually using alcohol to escape from some of the realities of my life, which I didn't enjoy that much. We won't go into detail about that now in this video, that one's been done. Instead, this is a look back over what I've learned throughout the last 12 months, things that changed in my body, and how I'm going to approach the future and my relationship with alcohol. First off, Happy New Year if you're watching this in the first week of 2023. So the first thing I noticed after I gave up alcohol at the start of last year was that in the first few weeks, my sleep improved quite quickly. My average resting heart rate dropped quite quickly as well. And the benefit for me personally, physically, was that I was able to increase my training load and recover quite quickly. What I mean by that is I noticed that I wasn't having the lingering muscle fatigue the days after training in the same way as I was throughout 2021 and the years that preceded that. I noticed that I was able to ride 3, 4, 5 hours at quite a high intensity and my legs weren't hurting, my body wasn't feeling as tired. So I mentioned the reduced fatigue levels and the increased ability to train. If I look at this in a little bit more detail, I track my sleep with a Garmin watch and you can instantly see there's more consistency in my sleep. I'm not the world's best sleeper. Around 7 hours of sleep each night is generally enough for me. But the big difference was the consistency of falling asleep at the same time every night, waking up at a more similar time every single morning, and having a more consistent level of freshness. This definitely helped me train that little bit more. And actually at the start of 2022, I was producing some of my best all-time power numbers. Now, there are variances in power meters, maybe you could put it down to that, but I used the same power meter throughout 2021 as I did in 2022, and I definitely noticed an improvement there as well. So that's obviously a huge positive in having given up alcohol. One of the major benefits that I noticed physically also was the reduced stress levels. I used to have this, I'd notice it in my arms especially, just this lingering stress, like almost like a toxic, acidic feeling in my muscles. That's definitely been reduced since I gave up alcohol. I don't suffer in the same way from that level of stress like I did when I was drinking. I was drinking, this is absurd, because I was drinking to escape the stress in my life, the feelings that I didn't want to have. But in doing so, it just prolonged the feeling of stress until I exercised, and then it would be temporarily reduced and this vicious circle would start again. Forgive me if I start shivering. We're sheltering in what looks like the most dilapidated bus shelter in the Netherlands in a little village called Vlist, escaping the wind and the rain. We're not the only ones out on bikes, look. Somebody else is having fun. When I mentioned that I noticed a reduced level of stress, I still felt stressed at different times, but how I felt I could cope with that stress was really quite different. Rather than trying to hide from the stress and drink more to hide from it, I noticed that I was actually able to deal with what it was that was causing the stress and approach it in a more rational and logical manner. I never felt that drinking prevented me from dealing with things like it clearly did. In 2022, I was able to apply a much more improved level of clarity to any situation I had. Like I finally managed to tackle financial issues in a way that I wasn't able to do so before. I was able to face things head on. I was finally able to face things head on. I didn't find them any easier to deal with, but rather than hide from them and bury my head in the sand like I had done for years before, I was actually able to do something about it. And the sense of achievement that comes with that, the sense of accomplishment and the sense of progression was really quite addictive. And it's something I'm really pleased that I've finally been able to do. And I genuinely feel that if I'd continued to drink throughout 2022 in the way that I had done prior, that wouldn't have happened. I want to point out one thing and make it really clear. On the internet, if you type giving up alcohol, all you hear is this huge list of benefits, people telling you it's changed their lives and all these things are much better. And whilst I have noticed these improvements, none of them are quite as distinct as I'd perhaps hoped. You still have to work really hard to improve your life. It's not an automatic thing that happens just because you gave up alcohol. And I think that was something I was quite disappointed about. I didn't notice a huge physical improvement. I know I've mentioned that I improved, but I didn't notice it personally. For the first 3 months, I never felt, oh, I feel like I'm $1 million every single morning when I wake up. I didn't notice any of these things that I'd read online. And I think that was a little bit of a disappointment because it felt at times like, why have I bothered to do this? But the reassurance came. When I spoke to Micah, who's behind the camera, and my children. They've definitely noticed a difference in how I act, how I respond to things, how I behave, how I conduct myself, how I approach things, how I tackle things. Of course I still get stressed. Of course I still feel the things that I was trying to escape from. But how I behave around those things has improved, and I think that has been the biggest benefit throughout the 12 months. Is it's not necessarily how it's affected me and how I've felt, it's how it's affected those that I interact with every single day of my life, and the ones that depend on me to be the best version of myself. The ones that perhaps look to me for the support that I should be offering. And it's that's the big benefit. It's not that you notice it necessarily yourself. So if you've given up alcohol and you think you've not noticed these benefits, if you're thinking about giving up alcohol and you're concerned after a few months that you've not noticed the benefits, rest assured that those around you probably will notice the benefit, and that's actually what really matters, is how others perceive us and how we are able to. We have a responsibility for ourselves, but we also have a responsibility for those around us. And I think giving up alcohol for me personally, because of the way that it affects me, was something that really benefited those around me in the way that was needed to happen. I'm starting to find it hard to find the words. There's a few reasons. It's really hard to find the words, partly because it's freezing cold and I'm being rained on. The camera's over there to protect it. Also, it's a topic which I still find incredibly difficult to talk about, which leads me to the conclusion. I still find it very difficult to talk about because I don't think I want to admit that I still have a problem with alcohol. Throughout the last 12 months, I've put a lot of thought into what I'm about to say. And that is, if I was to drink tomorrow, I will slip back into the same habits as before, because I do not have an ability to regulate and control my use and abuse of alcohol. I will continue in the future to remain alcohol free. In 5 years' time, maybe that will change. In 10 years' time, maybe. But at the moment, the one thing I've learned in 2022 is that my relationship with alcohol has not changed at all. And I find that difficult to admit. I'm a little bit disappointed that I have to admit that. But I think it's something that if I hadn't admitted, it would have led to greater problems in the future. I'm definitely a better version of myself when I don't drink. And it's not something that I now rely on, but I know that I would if I was to introduce it back into my life. I'm really starting to shiver, so hopefully the audio is good and you can't hear it rustling on my jersey. I want to finish by saying I'm not the only person out there that has struggled with some sort of reliance on a substance to make them feel better, but hopefully someone finds it beneficial. I was really touched by how many people commented on the video last year when I said I was going to do this, and I was really touched by how many people took the time to email and to message. So I want to say, if you've had similar experiences, or you know someone that has similar experiences, or would perhaps benefit from watching this video, please take the time to share it with them. Take the time to send me a message. I will reply to everyone that sends a message. That's something which I think is really important, and I put a lot of time into that. Life isn't straightforward. You know, I've had a very privileged life, and I've done pretty much all of the things that I really wanted to do through cycling, and I can't wait to do more of it. But that doesn't mean you're immune to things that you're not happy about and issues that you struggle with. And one thing that's really important to understand, it doesn't matter how trivial or how big or small your issues seem, or your friends' issues seem. If someone is having issues, it's so important, and when I mean issues, it can mean anything. It's so important to support them. People go through things, they put themselves through periods of severe torture for no reason other than things are difficult, times are hard. And I think it's really important to be there for one another. I'm gonna leave it there because it's now absolutely chucking it down. We still have to ride home. Happy New Year. Reach out, do some good for someone, for yourself, for those around you this year. It's a hugely exciting 2023. I cannot wait to share some of the exciting stories that I have coming up. Whatever you're going through, it's always temporary. Things do improve, but you will have to work hard to make sure that happens. Thank you very much for watching. Please do leave a comment, share this video with someone that will benefit from watching it, and I'll see you in another video again soon. I'm gonna get a head start on my camera.